time or date, it involves intentionally avoiding or putting off doing something that needs to be done, often in favor of more pleasurable or less demanding activities. Procrastination is commonly associated with a lack of motivation, time management issues, fear of failure, perfectionism, or a combination of these factors. People who procrastinate often find themselves rushing to complete tasks at the last minute, which can lead to increased stress, decreased productivity, and compromised quality of work. Despite the negative consequences, some individuals may still engage in procrastination as a habitual behavior. Before we dive into the festivities, let's take a moment to welcome our guests. Today we have with us Ms. Leher Malhotra. Ms. Leher Malhotra is counseling psychologist. She completed her MA from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. She has worked towards developing a psychometric assessment for psychological well-being at Wellem. She has been involved in extensive research and presented papers at three different conferences. She has she also has 3+ years of experience in conducting workshops with students and faculty on top pertaining to mental health. Now, I would like to call Miss Leher ma'am to carry on the session forward.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. Can I please see everyone's faces? I think it would be just very strange to have a workshop related to all of you with, not being able to see all of you. It's okay if you're dressed in a t-shirt or, anything. Can we please have the cameras on? Okay. Okay, so just a few ground rules before we start. Just want to assure that in this workshop, so before we check in, can everyone see my presentation? I've been sharing my screen for some time. Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So you guys can see the memes that I've put up there. How many of you relate to the memes, or at least one of them makes sense to you? You can put it in the chat if you're not comfortable talking in the group. Okay, one person says they're relatable. Great. Okay. Has no one struggled between Instagram and studying or picking up an assignment? Okay, only one person finds it relatable. Last one is me. Okay, last one is, oh yeah, deadline induced panic. I think almost everyone has been there. Okay, I see 18 of you. Sorry, someone was saying something?
Yes, I was saying that that is related to me, like 6 hours and then stay up all night doing homework. That is very much relatable with me.
Okay. Uh, Thank you for sharing, Richa. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Aditya also agrees. Okay, great. So just a couple of things, guys, before we start. Please know that the idea of this workshop is to help you. So the more you participate, the more you tell me what's working, what's not working, the more we get out of this session. Does that make sense? Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am.
So the more you guys, oh, that's great. Thank you. So the more you guys interact and the more you ask me questions, I guess that will be better for all of us, right? Okay, cool. Okay. That was just like a small thing that we're doing. So the goal of this workshop essentially is to understand what is procrastination, not just in terms of how we define it, but also in terms of, in reality, what it looks like, And in reality, what are the things that we can do to cope with procrastination? And I guess almost every, okay, wait, you know what? We'll do a small exercise before we get started. Okay, so how many of you guys have felt this? A procrastination timeline, that there's plenty of time, I'll do it next week. And then, one day before your submission or one day before your interview or one day before your exam, you're like, it's okay. 2 days before, you're just like, theek hai, kal kar lenge, we'll do it tomorrow. And the day before that, the day before you have the actual thing, sometimes we feel, oh crap, why did I leave it for the last minute? How many of you have felt that? Okay, I see so many people raising their hands. Okay. Ooh, right? So all of us have felt this at some time, right? That, okay, you know what, there's time next week, and there's 2 days, I can finish it in 2 days. And then there's like, oh no, it's tomorrow, right? So then you stay up the entire night trying to finish what you had a week to do, right? Okay, cool. So we're doing a small game before we start. I understand that not everyone's very comfortable speaking. So why don't we just, put in emojis to share how we're feeling today? I think that's a very simple thing that all of us can do, right? You can put it in the chat box. Does it allow emojis? Ah, I see. Someone's angry. Okay, thank you. 2 people are happy. That's great. What else? Someone's feeling really cool. Okay. Happy, angry, cool. What else? Okay. Okay, someone's sighing. Someone's feeling surprised, confused, and happy. Great. Okay, so what I'm guessing is there's a few mixed emotions, and majorly the people are feeling either cool or happy or smiling in some way. So that's nice. There's 30 of you, and I see like 15 emojis or less. Go on. Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks for sharing, you guys. So now what we're going to do is you can type in 1, 2, 3, okay, on the chat, and you have to tell me which one is the lie. Have you guys, I think some of you have played True Truths and a Lie with me, right? In a previous workshop. Were some of you there? We did a couple of workshops last year. Was anyone there in the previous workshop? Or no? Okay, I think one of you was there. Cool. Okay, so this is a game where you have to guess which one is the lie. So this game is called Two Truths and a Lie. So I've given you 3 statements, and you guys have to message the number which the statement you think is the lie. So the statements are, everyone has had some experience of starting work late, as in procrastinating. Some people never procrastinate, okay? And procrastination has consequences. So which one is the lie according to you? Statement 1, statement 2, or statement 3? Oh, so many people are saying 2. Wow. Okay. Great, that's wonderful. You can also unmute yourself and talk in between. It'll be great if it's a two-way thing instead of just, me talking. That would be nice. Okay. Okay, I just want to tell you guys, you're absolutely right. Number 2 is the lie. Because I don't think I have met anyone who has never procrastinated. Those people are really hard to come by. Even I'm not one of them. I've also found myself procrastinating on some days, feeling guilty on some days that why did I not do this before, right? So I guess most of you can relate with how that feels, right? So a show of hands for people who felt that, damn, I wish I had done this sooner. Or just you can say me on the chat. Raised hands. Okay. Cool. Yeah, a lot of you. Okay. Great. Okay. So the objectives, I guess we've already talked about. What are the potential causes of procrastination, understanding procrastination, and tools and techniques to cope with it. Okay. So now what I would like you guys to do is talk about one incident that happened the last time where you felt like you procrastinated and later you felt that, why did I not do that before? So you can start with anything, any incident, latest that happened. It could be for an exam, a submission. It could be about calling a friend that you forgot to do, anything. Okay, let me give you one example. So I had, sorry, I think someone raised their hand.
Yes,
Lakshmi
ma'am.
said assignment. Okay, go on, please.
Yes, I want to share one incident. Like, actually, what happened that we were having one review, and we were given a time of approximately 1 week for that to complete the sheets and all. But what happened, we procrastinated a lot, and due to which, like, all the things got burdened, and we only were left with 2 days to complete all the sheets and all. So that was very hectic. So from that, I learned a lesson that we should never procrastinate again. And that is the incident which I wanted to share.
Thank you so much for sharing. Was this Richa who was sharing? Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks, Richa. Thanks for sharing. Would anyone else like to join in and tell us what was your last experience of procrastinating? Anyone?
Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, Nikunj, you're audible. Hello.
Hello. Hi. Good evening, ma'am. This was one incident
Good
when regarding the submission of our lab file. So what I thought that it was kind of 1 week time, so I could have write easily at my room, but I procrastinated, and unfortunately I never got time, so I was not able to write that properly inside the lab. So kind of it was not. It was something that I learned that not to procrastinate.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Would anyone else like to add? Just maybe we could go with one more. I see so many people. Um, Maybe Abhinav, Aditya. There's two Adityas. Ankur, Ashish, Ayush. Anyone like to share one incident? Okay. I can also give you.
Can
Yes, Rachna. Yes, we can hear you.
many times, ma'am. Many time I have faced this situation. Actually, I'm working with 2 or 3 collaborators. So many time they gave me some work, and I thought ki I feel sometime ki that work is very simple to me, and I will complete it in a single day, even not in a single day, few hours. So so the rest hours I'm doing something else, and many kind of things I'm doing. And after the day came when I have to submit the work, and I have found that oh, I didn't did anything. So what should I do? And then I got panic, and I start doing that work, and I think I took not that much time, but that time I found many things in my work that is very needed for me to study. And I thought ki if I have started this work very soon, then I thought I completed in a very less time, as well as I'm not satisfied from that work, because I thought ki I found myself ki I have not literature that much for that work. So I thought ki I'm never ever satisfied from my work. So many time happened that thing with me.
I think a lot of us can relate with what Rachna is saying. And thank you for sharing, Rachna. And the other two people who shared, I think it's really nice that we can share and talk about from real experiences. I think that's what would add value. Um, so, can all of you say that, once you procrastinated, you felt so guilty that you didn't procrastinate the other time? Has that happened? Or, even after that incident, we continue procrastinating? What's the verdict? Yes or no? We keep
And
procrastinating
there's
after
a
the
and there's a guilt for
yes.
some time, but some days, but then again we procrastinate.
Yes, absolutely. Right. So it's a pattern. And I think a lot of people struggle with procrastination, not only because we don't have the motivation, sometimes it's because now we have so many things to do, right? We have so much to do on our plate. So it becomes difficult to decide ki, acha, do we do this now? Do we do this later? Do we focus on something else? Or because we're so overwhelmed sometimes, we just feel, acha, you know what, I'll just do this later. I'll, maybe read something fun, or I'll be on Instagram for a while, or I'll just chill with my friends. And then suddenly you get this feeling of anxiety. Oh God, I have not done this. And that's when you get started, right? Do most people agree with me on this, that this is what usually happens?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes. Okay. I'm so glad you guys are speaking up. Thanks. Okay. Right. So why
Ma'am,
do
one
we
thing can I
procrastinate?
ask you? Ma'am,
Yes, please.
why? Okay, few things I have procrastinated, and many times I have done, but few my duties I have completed timely, and I
Hmm.
don't know ki why I'm selective on that part. Ki those things I have to complete, and I have to do
Hmm.
at the time whenever I got that work. So I don't think he, I can't understand ki why this is happening. Ki few things I can't segregate. Ki which one I'll always that one is I'm always going to procrastinate, and few duties regularly completed my task. This thing is also happening.
Rachna, I think that's an excellent question. And I would say thank you for asking it. But would it be okay if we address it towards the end of the session? Would that be all right?
Okay.
That's an excellent question. I would say you hold on to it, and we'll look at it towards the end. But thank you for asking also. Okay. Okay. So I think relating to what Rachna was saying or asking, I guess we can all ponder upon it a little bit, that why do we procrastinate? Why do we procrastinate on certain things but not on other things? Like Rachna rightly pointed out, I think all of us have certain things that we don't procrastinate on. We think, okay, tomorrow is laundry day, so I'll finish my laundry because I need new clothes. The other day I have to submit this assignment and I love this subject, so I'm so excited, so I'll finish that project sooner than I will others, right? So what are the possible reasons you feel that you might be procrastinating in your particular incident? So you guys can either put it on the chat box, or you can share it with me here.
And the
Yes,
first
And
ma'am.
point
also
is
yes, go on please.
basically we think that we have plenty of time to do certain things,
Mm-hmm.
and secondly the work we have to do is mostly boring, so that's why we procrastinate.
Okay, so can we say that we overestimate how much we can do the next day?
Yes,
Would
ma'am.
that be fair to say? Got it. Okay, thank you. Was that Siddharth sharing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks, Siddharth. Okay, anyone else? Why do we procrastinate?
Yes, ma'am.
Uh,
Ma'am, sometimes
I
we
think
feel
it
that
depends on the importance that we give something. Like if we know that something is really important, we try to do it on time or even
Mm-hmm.
beforehand. Like, okay, this is something that I cannot mess up. But if something we take lightly, like okay, ये तो बाद में भी करेंगे तो चलेगा. That is
Mm-hmm.
one reason I feel.
Okay, that's very interesting. Thank you, Bhaskar. I think Rachna, you were saying something, I think.
I was saying that sometimes we feel that the task is not very easy and difficult, and we feel lazy. Like sometimes, that we have to explore about that, and in exploring things and in collecting the information, we feel a bit laziness, and that is the reason sometimes we procrastinate, and we think that we'll get the information from our friends and all, but at last it happens that we don't get the information from our friends and all, so we face difficulties, so that might be one reason.
Okay, that's definitely a really good reason. Thank you, Richa. Would anyone else like to add? What else
Yes,
could it be? Yes.
we friends usually procrastinate seeing each other. Matlab, because of peer pressure or something. That no one is doing work, I'll also not do it now. And we all suffer later. This happens a lot of times.
So you indulge in group suffering, group procrastination.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
that right? Okay. Thank you, Sambhav. That's very interesting phenomena. So is it that we feel relaxed कि अच्छा अभी कोई नहीं कर रहा तो बाद में कर सकते हैं? Or is it that they're not doing it, why should I start? Which one would it be according to you, Sambhav?
Relaxed one is
Okay.
It feels
Yeah, I guess
relaxed.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Great. Anyone else? What could be your reason of procrastinating?
And interest can be one point.
Definitely interest is one point.
Because if we have two works to do and having same deadline, we will usually pick up the one we are more interested in. So we do not procrastinate things in which we are interested.
That's fair. That's fair. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Great. I think you guys have, a lot of self-awareness, which is why you're able to also tell me ki, this is why we might be procrastinating. So that's good. Before we move on, would anyone else like to add on? So, Om has said in the chat that we think we have a lot of time to complete. And Nikunj is agreeing with the feeling. Anyone else?
And distraction could be another reason for procrastination.
Makes sense. How many of you have felt distracted while doing an assignment or while studying for something or an interview? How many of you have felt distracted? Either sometimes a WhatsApp message, you open your phone and you're like, now we're scrolling through Instagram or
Every time.
some other notifications. Okay. Okay, all right. Thank you. So these are some of the reasons, I guess, like all of you have said so wonderfully, and I think all of you have covered all of these points as to why is it that we might be procrastination. Some of you said that you don't feel motivated because you're not interested in that particular subject. Sometimes it's overestimation of how much we can do. Sometimes it's distractions or lack of focus. But what about the other stuff that you see here? Is there something that you don't necessarily agree with? And it's okay if you don't. Just help me understand which ones are the ones that you might not agree with, if anyone.
And can you explain this overwhelm and lack of clarity?
Okay, so a lot of times it might happen that you've been assigned a task. Yeah, आपको बोला है, that this is the assignment that you have to do. So because we don't understand it quite well, we feel overwhelmed because we don't know what to do and how to proceed. Does that make sense?
Mostly what I feel is the interest that is important. If we have interest, then I guess procrastination won't be there and we will be focused. And this is what I observed in my JV preparations also, that when I was interested, so everything it was like no procrastination. So mainly interest is the main.
Agreed. But I have a question. Do you think it's possible to feel interested in all of the tasks that might be important? Is it necessary
Merely
most
not,
important is interesting?
merely not in every task.
Okay, so then what do we do?
Just do it as you have assigned, as you are assigned the job.
Okay. But I guess that's when we experience procrastination, right? When we don't like the task, but we still have to do it. So we push it till the time we finally have to do it, right? Okay. What about other reasons that are given here? Fear of failure. Do you think that makes sense of procrastination or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so those of you who are saying yes, could you help us understand
Ma'am,
what makes you think?
sometimes the fear of not meeting expectation or making mistakes can lead to procrastination. Maybe by like delaying tasks, or one may try to avoid possibility of failure.
I think Siddharth, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's an excellent point. Excellent point. Anyone else who would like to add on to what
I
Siddharth
I
said?
I totally disagree with this. That the failure part, I totally disagree.
Okay, you disagree with it. Okay, that's all right. Anyone else agree,
Yes, ma'am.
disagree?
I would like to add that if we are having a fear of failure, then we will try to do the work on time, and we will, in fact, dedicate more time and more energy on it, because we have a fear that we will fail, and we'll try not to, we'll try that our level best, that we should not.
Is it just me or I stopped hearing Richa's voice?
Disconnected, I think.
Richa, could you please say that again? I think your voice stopped in between.
Oh, sorry, ma'am, I got disconnected.
That's all right. Please continue. You were saying something.
Yes, ma'am. So that was the only point, that if we have fear of failing, then we'll try that we should not fail, and we'll give our level best, and we will try our best to complete the task on time instead of procrastinating it.
Okay, that's also fair enough. Anyone else?
Me also, ma'am, because fear of failure. The same thing happened with me, that at the last moment when I have to submit that work to that collaborator, because this thing why happened with me, I can say from the last 6 or 7 months. Wherever I'm doing the work, no one is taking care of that thing. There is lack of discussion actually, and my interest gone, totally gone. And then I'm doing my work by my own. So on, because of that, I procrastinate the everything. And whenever I got the a large big assignment, I thought कि I will do, because I thought कि whatever I know now, I will do with that knowledge. And when I start doing it, then I thought कि oh, this thing I have to know, this thing I have to know. And that time it will take time, much and more time, as much I have expected. So and that time I have that fear. And from for last 2 or 3 days I totally gave to that work, and I have to submit that work. So fear of failure is fine, matlab, that is not included here.
Okay. Sorry, you said fear of failure is not included, as in you think it does not contribute to procrastination?
No, it totally not contribute to, because it pump us. Okay, yeah, you have to do this, you have to do this. So I don't think it is.
Okay, all right. Anyone else about some other point also? What about lack of accountability or perfectionism? Any of those that you agree or disagree with?
Lack of can you like clarify this lack of accountability?
Lack of accountability, say for instance, the things that you don't have to submit, or the deadlines that you set for yourself, that the exam's on the 15th and you set the deadline that okay, by 10th I have to finish my syllabus, by 12th I have to finish this. So self-imposed deadlines where you don't have to be accountable to someone else. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Perfectionism. Any comments over there? Do you think perfectionism contributes to procrastination?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
I think
Sometimes it does.
perfectionism.
I hear two people.
Yes.
I think Richa was talking and then
And
someone else was
sometimes
also
like
talking.
and sometimes we keep delaying our work for maybe doing that to a perfect level. So that's I
Makes
think.
sense. Okay, thank you for sharing. Anyone else? I think there was one more person who was talking.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
perfectionism, like sometimes it is the reason of procrastination, because we think that we will buy some better medium or we will buy some better materials to make something. Like in my case, it happened that I thought that I'll buy some better materials to make better sheets, but it didn't happen. And so that I thought that want to work in a perfect manner, but it didn't go well. So I think perfectionism is one of the reason for procrastination.
Okay, thank you, Richa. I think perfectionism does definitely contribute. We have to wait till the timing is perfect, till the things are perfect to get started on something. That makes sense. Anyone else? I heard someone else also trying to talk.
Yes, I was saying same only, that perfectionism affects. We think that we will do this thing perfectly later, and we keep on delaying it.
Okay, thank you, Sambhav. So, do you guys feel that sometimes it's possibly also that? Um, so, you're all at this really great institute, right? IIT BHU. You guys have worked so hard to get here. And I think one of you also said how you have expectations from yourself and people have expectations from you, right? I think since you're in this institute, a lot of people, family, your friends have certain kinds of expectations from you, right? Yes, no? Or you have expectations from yourself?
Yes, they do
Yes,
have.
ma'am. Many people
Yes,
expect
many
us
people.
from us.
Absolutely. Does that sometimes you feel creates a pressure to do things well from now in the
Yes, ma'am.
future? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Do
Yes.
A
most
lot
of
of
you
pressure.
agree to this? A lot of
Yes, ma'am.
pressure.
Yes, ma'am.
And does that pressure sometimes make you feel anxious?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Most of the time.
Yes. Okay. So I would just like to tell you that this pressure, a lot of times, to do things well is also something that contributes to procrastination. It might happen that, that it makes it difficult for us to do some tasks which might influence on how we're perceived. If I don't say, for instance, if I don't prepare at all for that exam, or if I don't prepare at all for that interview, what happens? I can just say, I mean, my interview didn't go well because I didn't prepare for it. I can say my exam didn't go well because I didn't study much for it. I only studied for 4 hours, but I still managed to pass. Whereas internally, there might be some guilt. I could have studied more. I could have done better. So you know why that happens? Any guesses? There are no right or wrong answers. Any guesses?
Procrastination.
Procrastination, yes. Because a lot of times, because there's so much pressure and so many people believe that we have potential, and we do have potential, we believe we have potential, that it becomes, so the blame can shift on that, acha, this is not about my potential, this is about the time that I put in. So when we say fear of failure, when we say fear of failure, when we say perfectionism, it doesn't, of course, fear of failure also motivates us in some cases to do really well. But sometimes that fear can be so overwhelming, it can be so overwhelming that it prevents us from doing things. Because if I don't put in 15 hours and I don't perform well, then it's about the time I didn't put in. It's not about my potential. It's not about whether I was able to do it. It's just that I didn't give it enough time. Now, this is a very internal thing that's been observed over a long period of time. And I can understand that, it might be a little difficult to digest at this time. Again, this might not be true for everyone. So does
No,
anyone have
this
any
is true for
thoughts?
me. One thing I
Okay.
can say, this is true for me,
Mhm.
but I didn't understand here the way. Actually, from for last 1 year, everyone is saying that you only can do, you only are the part that who can fulfill our dreams, and everyone in our family, 4 to 5 people, everyone is saying this to me from the last 2 or 3 years. And then in the last, um, I have found myself that I can't do anything, and I directly said ki your dream you can fulfill. My dream, I forget my dreams. So in that situation, I can feel ki the fear of failure, how I procrastinate the many things. So and I have many dreams that time ki I want to apply many places, like I want to I want to do my PhD from outside India, from India, not from India. So but I escaped that thing, and I'm doing this from here. So that thing I can relate with myself. Yeah.
Mhm. Thank you for sharing, Rachna. I think it's difficult to be in such a situation where there is so much pressure. And I just want to say thank you for feeling safe to be able to share it with us. I think a lot of us can resonate with what you're saying. Um, would anyone else like to add about
I
any of
feel
this?
like one more thing that I have realized many times. I feel like suppose there is an exam next week, and I know if I
Mm-hmm.
start studying today for the same syllabus, I'll be taking like 3 hours to complete. But if
Mm-hmm.
I study the night before the exam, I would be
Mm-hmm.
doing the entire thing in 1 hour. So I feel like,
Okay.
why should I do it right now if I can do the same
Mm-hmm.
thing in 1 hour then? Because right now I am not motivated enough to study. But that time it's a do or die situation. So I
Hmm.
know that I have to complete and I will complete them. So that's why I postpone it right now and do something else.
Okay. I think that's fair. But do you feel like that's always manageable? What if you have two submissions on the same day and you have an exam the same day, which might happen sometimes in college, that too many deadlines are tied up towards the end of the semester? So then what do you do? But it's a
Like
valid point, actually. It's a
personally
valid
speaking, till
point.
now I haven't been like overworked that okay, I have 4 submissions tomorrow and I can't do it. So like at the end moment, I have always been able to manage as of now.
Mm-hmm.
But like if I go to prepare beforehand, I know that it
Mm-hmm.
will take a lot more of my time, and
Mm-hmm.
there will be many things that I'll be missing due to that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because
Okay.
we only
So
have
it's
like limited time in a day.
that's fair. I think what you're saying also makes sense. I think some of us just do better under pressure, which is okay, which is why deadlines are very effective, especially if we're accountable to someone else, in the sense that, you know, you have to submit it to a teacher, you have to give the exam, and you have to make XYZ submission to someone else. So I guess sometimes that pressure works for us. That is why a little bit of anxiety is important to push us to do things. And some of us thrive under pressure, which is great. But I guess after a point in time when you have too much to do, especially when you're not accountable to someone else, only to yourself. Say, for instance, you have to prepare for an entrance exam. All of you have given some kind of exam to crack the IIT, right? Yes. I
Yes,
think that's
ma'am.
a compulsory, yes. Okay, right? So that's when you had your own deadlines. You weren't accountable as such to other people, say maybe how much you cover, how much
So
you do.
even
Yes, go on, please.
even in our semesters also we see that like 1 month before the semester we start our preparation, things don't work that well, but in last 10 days it's like it's the main stress in last 10 days.
Yes, I think that's the case everywhere. I think not just in your college, but any college, any school. That's why you have prep leaves also, right? Because everyone knows that this is the period where you will be studying in the last 10 days. But there are also cases where you cannot cram everything in the last 10 days. Do you not sometimes feel regret that I wish I started this sooner so I could have performed better? Is there someone who hasn't felt like that during exams?
Felt that.
I think anyone who has not felt that, you know, I wish I had put in more time so I could have performed better. Anyone who's not felt that way? So I guess that's what we're trying to establish. That feeling of guilt or regret that comes from not doing what we could have. That is why we're here today talking about procrastination, right? So, but I just want to say that all of you have come up with incredible points, incredible reasons, and really good explanations for those reasons. But would you guys still be interested in learning some tools and techniques that might help with procrastination?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, sounds good. Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll jump to something. So I guess your internship season is coming soon, right? From what I've been told. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So I guess all of you have a lot to do, not just in terms of studying or doing everything that you usually do for college, but also preparing for interviews. You have to study up on different companies that are coming, see what you want to do. Do they match with what you want, right? So all of you have a pen and a paper. Actually, I asked, if you all could have a pen and a paper, it would just be nice to have. Yes? If yes, then please, I want to see papers. How many papers
Yes, ma'am.
you guys carrying? Everyone has a pen and a paper?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool.
Yes, ma'am.
So what we're going to do is we're going to practice something together just to get us started and make sure that we're on top of things, and this feeling that we get post procrastination that I wish I would have done it sooner, we can lower those to less situations. Okay, so all of you must have tried some kind of techniques for procrastination, yes or no? I see someone saying, yes, I have tried. What else? Anyone else? Have you guys tried something for procrastination? What is it that you usually do, when you have things to do or an exam coming up, assignment? Do you just sit
I
one day
used
and
to make
decide?
I
Go
used
on,
to
please.
make timetable, but never managed to complete it.
Okay. Okay. Is that Sambhav? Who said that? Can you?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thanks. So sorry, I just see that 5 minutes are left in the meeting. So will this meeting end in 5 minutes or do we have more time?
Ma'am, we have more time.
Got it. Thank you.
10,
So
15
Sambhav,
minutes.
sorry?
10, 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. Okay, then maybe we'll go at it quickly. Thank you. So Sambhav, I think what you were saying, that's something that I think a lot of us have struggled with. We make a timetable, but it's difficult for us to adhere to it, right? So what we're going to do is today, we're just going to, you guys have 2 minutes, right? So just write down things that you want to do by tomorrow. Anything, just from the top of your head. Just make a to-do list, rough to-do list. What is it that you want to do? Here are some examples that I wrote down for you guys. Since you know your interview is coming, so maybe you can write down what organizations you want to look into, search up organizations, area of expertise of that organization, or just and I think you guys have to do your laundry, everyday things also while you're at campus, right? Some of you may have thought about completing your profile on LinkedIn because maybe some people see your LinkedIn. Maybe some of you are thinking, oh, I need to buy some clothes for the interview to be dressed formally. Does everyone have about 5 things to do? Yes? Have you been able to write down? Okay, done? Yes? You've been able to write 3, 4 things? You can either say, unmute yourself and say, or you can put them on the chat. Guys?
Yes, we have written many things.
Okay, great. So you've just made like a to-do list, yes? Just like a simple one that's shown on the screen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So now from this list, how do you decide what to do first? What is the first thing that you start from here? From your own list. You don't have to tell me what it is. Just what is the first thing that you choose based on what?
Urgency.
Urgency. Okay, that's relevant. Good. What else?
Whatever feels me, I'll do it now.
Okay, whatever feels right at the time. Okay, fair enough. What if I told you there's a really cool framework that helps you sort of decide what is it that you should do first so that the so that it yields the most results, right? So there is this Eisenhower's matrix, which helps you categorize your to-do into, as you can see from here, urgent, important, not urgent but important, urgent and not important, and not urgent and not important. And here is where you can also put in your deadlines. Can we do this quickly with our own to-do list? There are 4 quadrants. Let's see how you can categorize your to-do framework?
Thing which is urgent, doesn't it become important?
Depends if it's urgent and if it's important. So, say for instance, I have to complete my LinkedIn profile and I have to do it before the interview, right? It might be urgent, but is it more important than something else? Completely depends. So ideally, what you would do is you would cover green first, then you would cover purple, then you would cover yellow. Does that make sense? First, you focus on urgent and important. It's urgent and it's crucial that I do it. The next is it's important. Like, I don't have clothes to wear to college the next day, so I need to do laundry. Does this chart make sense to you guys? I think someone asked a good question. If it's urgent, doesn't it become important? Would you say studying for your exam is as urgent and as important as doing laundry? If you have exam the next day, what will you focus on? Studying or what clothes I have to wear tomorrow? Come on, guys. Does the chart make sense to you? Are there any more questions?
Yes, I understood it.
Okay. Anyone else has any questions about this chart? So you know why we're looking at this chart? Why are we even looking at it?
So that we can decide what we need to do first.
Yes. Richa, absolutely yes. For most procrastination, is my video stuck?
It's a bit blurred, but it's not stuck.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, guys. I think there's some issue with my internet. Okay, so I think Richa made an excellent point. What to start with first. That is why we categorize them, because if you make one big list, it is overwhelming sometimes. Sometimes we just pick what feels right to us. Sometimes we just pick what might be the easiest to do and we keep the harder tasks for later. But do you think it should be the other way around? You do the most difficult tasks first and get them out of the way? Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
no.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Because doing so much, especially you're in college, you always have some things to do. Maybe you have a club meeting that you have to go for. Maybe you have an SPS meeting that you have to attend, you have to organize. You know, there's an event coming up that you have to organize. You have to study for your exams, you have to study for your interviews, you have to look up different organizations. There is always so much to do. So, what do you start with first? So, to help you answer that, this is the metric that will help. To first start with what is urgent and what is important. Because out of the 10 tasks maybe that you've written, there are two that are extremely crucial and are are likely to influence some kind of future outcome. Vipin, I think you were raising your hand. Do you have a question or a comment?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have doubt that somewhere we all are aware enough that we know that what is important or what is urgent or what we have to do first. But in spite
Mm-hmm.
of knowing that, we do not start that. That is what we procrastinate. So although we know that we have to do the green box work first, but still we go for
Mm-hmm.
the pink one in spite of knowing it. That's the problem. We know what we have to do, but we do not do. That's the problem.
Right. I think that's a very good point. And we have a short exercise to tackle just that. Thank you for putting that out, Vipin. I think that's a really fantastic point. Yes. Okay. I think we can skip this and just quickly move on to the Pomodoro technique. Has any of you heard of the tomato technique? Yes,
No,
no,
ma'am.
maybe, no?
No,
Okay. Okay. So the tomato technique, or as people call it, the Pomodoro technique, is basically where you split your study or work time into small pieces so that it doesn't feel overwhelming, which is what happens with procrastination. Why we procrastinate most of the times is because we're not sure what is it that we want to start with. The hardest thing is to get started. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, no,
yes, ma'am.
yes.
Yes, ma'am.
The hardest thing
Yes,
is to
ma'am.
just first sit down with that notebook or with the laptop and just start, right? That's the hardest thing to do. So what we do with Pomodoro is a very evidence-based technique. There's been a lot of research that's been done around it. So essentially what you do in Pomodoro is you pick up one thing from the matrix that you just drew, okay? You pick up one thing and you set 25 minutes of alarm. Now, why we're saying 25 minutes is because we're very likely to get distracted and bored after we do one task for more than 25 minutes. So the human attention span usually is around 30 minutes, right? So if we try to push ourselves more than that, and especially if it's a boring task, okay, if it's not interesting, then we're likely to leave it in between, start doing maybe Instagram or chatting with a friend, and the notebook and the work just sits there on the table, right? So what we want to do is give ourselves some break and some motivation. So in Pomodoro, what is it that you do? You decide कि अच्छा मेरे को एक चीज करनी है. Say for instance, from here you pick, I want to cover the basic concepts of mirroring. That is something that I want to start with, right? So I've decided my task for Pomodoro 1. So Pomodoro 1 is usually 25 minutes. And then for 25 minutes, I keep away my phone, put it on silent, put my laptop on silent, and tell my roommate or someone else that, just give me 25 minutes, I'm working on something. You work on the task for 25 minutes and then you give yourself a 5-minute break. And in that 5-minute break, you reward yourself with all of the distractions that you wanted to do. You can check your phone for 5 minutes. You can also go grab some food if you felt snacky while you were working, or if you felt like something was missing. But the idea is you dedicate full 25 minutes to that one thing you decided you would dedicate. Now, at first, I can understand that it will be hard to start with, but you have to ensure that the 25 minutes, the alarm that you've set, you are there on that chair with the books, trying to focus on trying to read. And after 5 minutes, you will actually start to read or study or write or whatever it is that you were planning to do. Because the first 5 minutes are the hardest. To actually sit and not give in to the distraction is the hardest, right? So this is why it's a really effective technique, because you're not pushing yourself to go at it for 2 hours straight. That's very difficult to do. And I think that's what we expect ourselves to do also a lot of times. Ki, you know what? I'll do this tomorrow. I'll sit for 3 hours and I'll finish this. But it's really hard to get yourself to sit for 3 hours at a time. You're bound to get distracted by something or the other. So that's why usually what you do is you do 4 Pomodoros before you give yourself a big break. So you work for 25 minutes, chill for 5 minutes, work for 25 minutes, chill for 5 minutes, do this 2 more times. And after 4 Pomodoros, you give yourself a 30-minute break and you just relax. You want to take a nap, you want to go for lunch, or you just want to hang out with a friend and chill. And this works because after every 25 minutes, you're rewarding yourself. So what your brain is doing, it's rewiring itself in a way so that you can focus for 25 minutes and relax for 5 minutes. And later it becomes a habit so much that you don't need an alarm, but it will take about 20 days to it to become a habit. Do you guys have any questions about this technique, or I'm trying to be quick because I guess we're a little short on time. Does anyone have any questions about this? Any doubts about whether this will work or not work? or this might not work for me. Someone thinking that, yes.
Ma'am, I want to do this technique, but in spite of taking 5 to 10 minutes break, my breaks goes long. Means if I
Mhm.
take breaks, I take break of about 20 to 30 minutes. Then I remember
Mhm.
that I have to study again.
Like what I personally feel is that break taking is something that what my coaching teacher tells me once you have taken a break, then you'd never come. So it's good that the best continuous stretch you can do, that's fine, rather than taking break.
Hmm. I think those are valid points, and you are free to change this or adapt this to something that works better for you. Say, for instance, how I do Pomodoro is I do 40 minutes of work and 20 minutes of break. That works better for me because I also can't take short breaks, right? So that's something that works for me. I work or study for 40-45 minutes and then 15 minutes I chill. But also, thank you, Rishav and Nikunj. I think both of you raised those points. I was just about to get to that, how you can modify this to something that works for you, right? So if you feel that 5 minutes of break is not enough, you want a longer break. So then you increase your study or work time and you increase your break. Make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anyone else with any questions or doubts? Also, for those of you who feel like, it's hard for you to come back from a break, we have this wonderful thing called alarm clock in our phones now. So the moment the alarm rings, we know it's time to get back. A lot of times
Actually,
when we,
the
yes,
main
go on, please.
problem that we feel is that once we get to break, it can sometimes feel lazy or the momentum which has been broken, so it feels really hard to continue again.
I think that's a valid point. But again, like I said, you can adapt this technique to what you think works better for you. For some people,
Okay,
sitting for
ma'am.
25 minutes works better. For some people, sitting for 1 hour at a stretch works better because you feel you might get distracted later. But the idea is to get you started. So just bait yourself into saying, Achha, I'm just going to sit and study for 20 minutes and then I'm going to chill. Because the idea is to get you in the flow. And once you get in the flow, you can decide to, study for longer and take the break later. But the idea is to get over that apprehension of 5 minutes and just get started. There's something really cool called the 80-20 rule. Does anyone know of the 80-20 rule? You might want to write it down and also Google it later if you guys like. Anyone knows what 80-20 rule is?
Ma'am,
Yes, 18%,
Yes,
80% of
ma'am.
syllabus comes from 20%. Uh,
So,
Sorry, 80% of paper comes from 20% of.
I'm sorry, I could not hear you. There was some background noise. Can you please say
I
that
said
again?
20% of paper comes from 80% of paper comes from 20 paper of syllabus.
Okay, very close. So the idea is that 80% of your results come from 20% of the work you do. That is why it's so important to categorize into what's urgent and what's important. So imagine 80% of your results come from 20% of things that you do. Just 20%. So this tells us that we need to just get started. You don't have to do it perfectly. Just get started. Okay. So there's also a couple of distraction management things that you can do. One can be identify what is it that commonly distracts you. Like say for me, Instagram is something that distracts me. So what I've done is I've put in a daily time limit. So after 30 minutes, I get this pop up on Instagram that says you've completed your daily time limit today. So that's when I feel like, oh my God, I spent 30 minutes on Instagram and then I'll close it, right? That serves as a reminder for me. So a lot of you can actually try this if Instagram is your biggest distraction, or, texting a friend is a big distraction. That, sometimes you get a WhatsApp message and you get distracted. So there are also apps which are distraction blockers. So I've mentioned a few of them for you that you can download. One is called Flipped. The other is called Focus to Do. And there's one more called Stay Focused. So this one allows you to lock your phone or distracting apps, say for 25 minutes, 30 minutes, however you want to. And Focus to Do is a Pomodoro timer. So if any of you wants to try the Pomodoro technique, this app is actually really helpful. So I thought, I could bring in a few apps that you guys could actually use while you're trying to study. Okay, so we're coming towards the end. And before we do that, I just wanted to ask you. So I've written down a couple of things one or two that help me when I'm procrastinating. So would anyone like to add to the list? There are some sticky notes. What is it that you would like to say to yourself to stop yourself from distractions? One is
Obviously,
Abhi kar
the
lo.
last one, the Hindi one, it's the best.
कबीर के दोहे काल करे सो आजकल.
Yes, this is the best.
Sorry, your voice is breaking.
Is it clear now?
Yes, it's clear now, Nikunj.
So I just thought that the last one, that the Kabir Ki Doye one, is just the best.
Okay, that's cool. I'm glad you found one. Anyone else? You can add to the list. I've kept a lot of space so that you guys can also add. Anyone wants to, someone Vipin said your R is something that you can try. Yeah, your R might be good. So I have heard only most about these three, but please feel free to try your
Tomorrow
R.
never comes.
Tomorrow never comes. Who said that?
No, I said.
Nikunj. Okay. Thanks. I will just add it. Tomorrow never comes. What about all of you? Do you guys want to add something to the list? I'll be circulating these
Yes,
sticky
ma'am.
notes. Yes.
फ्रेंड्स का
Ma'am,
स्टेटस पूछना
like
बंद कर दो.
फ्रेंड्स का स्टेटस पूछना बंद कर दो. Is that it?
काम का
ma'am,
स्टेटस
एक
कितना हो गया उनका?
I got okay. Okay, friends का work status पूछना बंद कर दो. भाई तेरा कितना हो गया?
Ma'am,
अच्छा,
your
fourth chapter.
screen share has been stopped. You are not
Oh, okay. Sorry.
able to see your screen.
Thank you for letting me know. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am,
yes,
it is
ma'am.
visible.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. What else? Friends का work status पूछना बंद कर दो. And
एक बार
I'm
ट्राई
reels.
करते हैं पहले काम कंप्लीट होने पे कैसा फील होता है.
nice.
I'm रील शेयर करने से घर नहीं चलता.
Sorry.
रील शेयर
Reels.
करके घर नहीं चलता.
Wow. Thank you. What did you? Someone else said. एक बार try करते हैं. Can you please say that again?
यस मैम, एक बार ट्राई करते हैं पहले काम कंप्लीट होने पे कैसा फील होता है. टाइम पे काम कंप्लीट होने पे कैसा फील होता है.
Nice. Very interesting. What else? Anyone else? I've also heard some college students say, काम कर ले भाई नहीं तो फट लेगी बाद में. To them. Okay. Okay. Sanchita said, अभी काम कर लो बाद में mind free होगा तो chill भी आराम से करेंगे. Very nice. Anyone else who wants to add? अभी काम कर लो बाद में मजे ही मजे. Ravi said. And Om mentioned you may delay but time will not. Very interesting. Okay, anything else you guys want to add to the list? We still have 2-3 sticky notes. Anyone else? Or this is good enough to start with? Okay, sudhar ja. Jeez, okay. I see you. You know why I'm putting them in the form of sticky notes? Any guesses? Why have I put them in form of sticky notes? Any guesses?
So that we can remember easily.
Yes. And so that I hope it encourages you
And one
guys
more
to actually.
reason.
Yes, please.
Uh, these sticky notes were used to help us to learn inorganic chemistry in our daytime, so this is better way to do this.
Sorry, can you please say that? I couldn't hear you.
Actually, these sticky notes really helped me to learn inorganic chemistry and reactions very well, so I guess they may be useful there also to run these modern programs.
Yes. So also some things that you see visually, they click, right? So say for instance, you're working. So I would really encourage you guys to pick any one thing out of these that works for you and just put it wherever you usually sit and study. It serves as a constant reminder, सुधर जा, or या पहले काम कर लो फिर chill कर लो, or stop asking what others are doing, to encourage you, to push you to do better. The more you see things visually around you, they stimulate you to do better. ऐसा होता है ना साथ में कुछ चीज, you see something. So you were saying something? Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. One more I wanted to add. Every time is right to do the right work.
Very inspirational, I think. I will also keep some of these with me. Okay, thank you guys for sharing. I think that was really nice. Okay, so before we conclude, just maybe we take 1 or 2 minutes to do this exercise. I would request everyone to just close your eyes. Take off your specs if you're wearing any. Just sit comfortably wherever you are. Just close your eyes. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in and exhale. Take another deep breath in and exhale. Now, slowly, what you do is imagine there is a big TV or a projector in front of you. Now, on this projector, imagine yourself feeling, or imagine yourself having completed all of the tasks that you have written in your to-do list before time. Just imagine that, this movie is playing about you on this projector, and you're seeing yourself after completing all of the tasks you decided to do before time. Take a minute, see how you're feeling on that big TV. Now, the movie has changed. Now imagine what happens when you have something to submit the next day, but you haven't been able to work on it due to some reason. You're feeling anxious, feeling a little bit of guilt. Why didn't I do this before? And that's something that you've experienced before. You know this feeling. You know this feeling that comes. Now go back to the first one. The first one where you have a list and you have checked all of the to-do tasks before the time. You are mentally free of the pressure. There is no anxiety that is telling you, oh no, this is left, that is left, it's gone. Feeling completely free and relaxed. Take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Take another deep breath in and breathe out. Now slowly open your eyes. Okay. How are you guys feeling in the two instances? What is it that you were feeling? The first one and the second one? Would anyone like to share?
First one was very happy, and second was the little sad types.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Richa. Anyone else? Anyone? Okay. So second one, low self-esteem within. All right, thank you. Just before we end for today, just remind yourself that you have the choice on which movie plays. It is possible for you to choose. Does the first one play or does the second one play? And whenever you feel stuck that, I want to study, but I'm not being able to, try playing the first picture in your mind's eye. Try feeling what would it be like if I were to complete this task? How would I feel? And that is very likely to help you to get off what you were doing and get started, right? So I had something else also planned, but I think we're way past our time. So we'll just close it here. Anyone has any questions before we say good night? Any questions? I know Richa had a question. Sorry, Rachna had a question. Anyone has any other questions?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, there's a project that I am doing right now, and basically I'm not getting to any results, and I'm stuck at a point. So
Okay.
that's why I'm feeling procrastinated to basically start again. So what should I do in this situation?
I think, is there a lot of pressure with what you're facing in that project?
Ma'am, there's no pressure, but actually I have to do it now. At the end, I have to do it, but I'm stuck at a point, and there's no progress.
I think the idea is to just start and do whatever comes to your mind. Write something down. There's something very interesting called the Kidlin's Law. The Kidlin's Law states that whenever you write something or you just get started with it, that's when 80% of your concerns are dealt with. Right? So, Siddharth, I would say that just today, sit down and start with whatever it is that you can think of. It doesn't need to be perfect, it doesn't need to be completely right. Just get started. You know why it's so important to start writing? Because the moment we start writing, things become tangible. It's very difficult to work with abstract thoughts. Acha, ye kar sakte hain, we can do that, I can start with that. So today, let's just try and sit down and start. Just start writing anything that comes to your mind and give yourself maybe 10 minutes to do it. You don't have to do it after that, right? So try that out, and I think that might really help. And if you feel that that might not help, one other thing that usually helps is that you sit with a friend, right? You ask them, dude, I want to start this. Just sit with me so that I'm not distracted, and just give me 20 minutes of your time and let me get started. So when we're accountable to our friends, or we have someone watching over us, that's when we're likely to do more things in time. Make sense?
Yes, ma'am, got it.
So 2 things that you can try. Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions? Or any other comments? Okay, also guys, just wanted to say that I think you all can see my screen. And we just want to say that, there's a lot of content available on the Vellum app if you're feeling anxious, or you feel like you're not able to sleep, or if you feel like you want to connect with someone and talk. So it's a really great place to look up stuff that will help you with studies also. A lot of times we can't study or work on things because I think a lot of you also agree that we feel anxious, right? So to help with this particular anxiety, you can look up some stuff on the app also to help you feel more calm before you're starting work. Yeah. Any other questions? Anyone? Or just any comments? Anything you guys would like to share before we close for today? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am sharing a technique with you on the chat that is known to be very helpful to deal with anxiety and just helping you feel more calm. It's a relaxation technique. I was planning that maybe we could do it today, but I'm just sending you a video. So guys, maybe you want to try it. It opens up on the app. Okay, so if there are no further questions, I guess we'll close for today. Thank you guys for being here. I know it's a little late, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. If you have any questions, I am sharing my email ID, and you can write to me.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yes, please.
the chat is disabled, so we are unable to see your message.
Chat is disabled, but I see some people putting stuff on the
active.
chat.
It's active.
Acha. Okay. So for those of you who are not able to see, maybe you can ask one of your friends to share the link with you. Would that be all right? And we'll
Yes,
also be
ma'am.
sending an
Okay, ma'am.
emailer, with a bunch of activities and the links that you can, use. And I'll be sharing those sticky notes also with you. Really fun. And my email ID is leher@wellm.co, LEHAR@WELLM.co. So if you guys want to write to me about anything, please feel free to.
And this site is not opening.
Sorry? Oh, this will open only from the phone.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's based on the app. So it will just open from the phone. I can just give me a second. You know what I'll do? I'll just share the YouTube link also with you guys so that it's accessible. One second. So I'm sharing the YouTube link. Great. I hope you guys can see it now. I think this should open on wherever you are. Great. Okay. Thanks, guys. If you have any questions or concerns related to procrastination or anxiety or anything related, you can write to me. And hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Good night. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good
Thank
night,
you, ma'am. Good
ma'am.
night, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. It
Thank
was
you,
a
ma'am.
great experience.